This episode is brought to you by Hopelessness Psychiatry, where Black and Brown girls can find individual therapy, mindfulness and meditation coaching, medication management, and case management. To learn more, go to fortismentospsychiatry.com/safe place. Welcome back to Safe Place for Brown Girls. I'm your host, Dr. Kathleen Jude Estime, a psychiatric nurse practitioner. This podcast is a safe space for women of color to talk about healing, mental health, and growth. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Bell for a powerful conversation about moving from hopelessness to becoming the boss of your own life. Dr. Bell knows what it's like to walk through loss, abuse, depression, and still find the courage to rebuild. Her journey and the millions of women it has touched remind us that healing doesn't really mean putting broken pieces back together. What it really means is creating a brand new blueprint. She talks about this blueprint. Together, we'll talk about the moment awareness sparks change, the difference between therapy and coaching, and how to design a future that's brighter than your past. Well, Dr. Bell, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. You can't complain. Who will listen?
That's right.
And where are you coming from?
I am coming from Texas. So I'm in Houston, Texas.
Oh, wow. And how's the weather over there?
It's gorgeous. Hot, as always, but it's gorgeous. A beautiful day.
It is. It is. So, Dr. Bell, your story is amazing. Tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, let me just tell you. So, you read the bio and you'll see that I'm an executive coach. I'm a speaker, entrepreneur, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the story. That's not where I began. And so I started by really saying I want to thank my 54-year-old self, because it was at 54 that I made one of the most important decisions of my life. There I walked out of divorce court on Monday, August the 10th, and feeling free that, oh my goodness, I am ready to just dive into the next chapter of my life. 7 days later, I get a call the following Monday that my job is over. So after 27 years, my job ends. So there I am. Everything that had defined me, my title, wife, mother, and to boot, my daughter was getting ready to leave for college in the next 8 months. So that was like a triple whammy. So there I am, feeling lost and not knowing what direction that my life was going to go in. And so it's 10 years almost to the date. And so as I walk out, and it's at that moment that I had to ask myself a real question. And that is, how did I get here? What's going on? Because I had asked God to remove me from circumstances that no longer served me. Well, I didn't know that I was going to lose everything that had defined me.
Imagine. So, Dr. Bell, describe the feelings you were feeling at that moment.
Oh my goodness. I was feeling lost. My whole identity was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as career women, I had a high-powered job. I was running a $29 billion program.
Wow.
I was married. I had all the trappings of this is success. This is what life is all about. Well, now in 7 days, they're all gone. So I felt a tremendous amount of loss. I didn't know which way I was going to turn. I didn't know what I would do, because the most important thing is I no longer knew who I was. I got lost in the whole realm of what I was building for the last 30 years. So it was a tremendous loss and not knowing which way to turn.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So describe your transformation. How did you recognize that the need for transformation?
My biggest transformation, and this is what I recommend to all women, is when you choose yourself. So my story is really about the power of choosing yourself and what happens when you do that. So I decided that I had to now choose myself because I had been given everything else to everybody else. And so I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my life was about outside of that. But I knew that I had to make a change. So it was that first decision to choose me. That's what it's all about. That's where it starts because you go through this period of time where you feel hopeless. You
Mm.
feel like nothing's going to change.
Right.
You're stuck and nobody's going to come and save you.
And
That,
describe what does choosing yourself look like, Dr. Bell?
oh my goodness. It means that you're now putting your needs first.
Okay.
It means that you're making decisions that are in line with what you want and what you need. And
Mhm.
it's not relying upon someone else to fulfill those needs. Because we get in marriages, we get in relationships,
Mhm.
we have jobs, and we're looking for other people to validate us, to give us that warm, cozy feeling, to let us know that we're enough. But we have to decide, and that was the decision that I had to make, that I was enough just as I was without all the titles. And it was now time for me to make a leap and to make life different for myself. So I had to figure that out. And that can be really difficult. So it wasn't an easy road. And that's why when I created the blueprint, it was from those years of trying to figure it out, for trying to struggle. But every day it was about making a decision that was in alignment with what I needed for me and no longer serving the needs of everybody else. It wasn't being neglectful because
Mm-hmm.
I still had a daughter, I still had things, responsibilities. But as women, particularly as women, and when we're in corporate spaces and we're climbing that ladder, we start thinking about ourselves and we start thinking about everybody else. We start thinking about our leadership, our teams, our
Mhm.
families, everybody. We want everybody to be good, but then we lose sight of what we need to be good. So we stop pouring into ourselves. We
So
stop
now,
doing for ourselves.
Dr. Bell, you talked about the blueprint. Now, are these
Yes.
actionable steps that a woman looking and watching this episode can actually take for transformation, true transformation?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the transformation, it first begins with the decision. I want something different in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be different. When you make that first decision, that then kickstarts other questions and other ideas. And so when I built the blueprint, it's about taking her, because this is the thing. We have a life that we no longer want. We're trying to build a new life, but we're basing it on our own experiences, those old thought processes, those
Mhm.
old ways of building relationship. So in the blueprint is teaching you how now to build from a different framework, building your foundation from the bottom up. What from your past that you still need to bring forward? What do you have in you that's still there? So it uncovers that. Then it walks you through step by step from how do you build new relationships, relationships that are healthy? How do you detach from the past or those past circumstances that help you, that kept you feeling caged and stuck? How do you now lead from the inside out? How do you now lead in your career with purpose? So it gives you the structure and then it gives you the tools. Because when you have been accustomed to living life a certain way, all of that is coded in your brain, in your memory, in your thoughts. So your belief system has to be rewired. Just imagine, and I just imagine so many women out there and how they told themselves stories. They're not good enough. They can't do this. They're not going to find love. They're not going to find a happy relationship. They're not going to find the job that they want. They can't start their business. We start believing those things, and now we're trying to start a new life with that old belief system. So the blueprint is about rewiring and changing and upgrading so that you now go from being stuck feeling hopeless, to now becoming the woman that you've been thinking about.
So you talk about being stuck and feeling hopeless. How can a woman who's watching this episode recognize that she's stuck or she's hopeless?
Oh gosh, that's so important. And so I want to start by talking about hopeless from a different perspective.
Okay.
Because when we feel, and it's a real feeling, so there's something on the inside saying that I don't have choices, I don't have options, that there's no hope for me. And as I sat there in the midst of the darkness of an abusive relationship,
Oh.
and then getting out and going and divorcing and then losing my job, there was a point. Yes, I'm wondering, why is my life breaking?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it falling apart?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that kept me going was hope.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are experiences in our lives that give us success clues that say, you know what? I've figured things out before. That's something on the inside of me. I can do that again. So you got to have hope. And I like to think about hope in terms of your belief system. And I call it a 3-way belief system. And this is part of what I teach. And I don't know what the people listening, the women listening, I don't know what your religious foundation is. I don't know your belief system when it comes to a higher power. I can only speak about mine, but it was my belief in a higher power that God had created me for something more. I didn't know what it was. And as my life began to break apart, I had to shift to begin to think, is it really falling apart? Or am I separating from a life that no longer serves me? So it can feel like grief. It can feel like death. And when the feeling of grief comes, it begins to feel like hopelessness. But actually, it's calling you for something greater. That is a moment in your life where your life is trying to redirect you. It's not trying to end your physical life. It's trying to end that life that's no longer serving you. So hope then comes in recognizing that you've had situations before that you've survived. You're still standing. That even today, in the midst of the darkness, you're still standing. So it hasn't taken you out. So there's a way for you to find hope, to grab on, even if it's just a mustard seed, to grab onto that. So I like to use a analogy of the trapeze artist as she's swinging from bar to bar. She cannot make that leap if she is still holding on to the bar behind her. She has to now let go of one to reach the one that now has arrived, and then let go, grab the one in front of her, and pull herself forward. That's us in our own life. That we can't leap forward because we're too busy holding on. So it seems hopeless that we don't even recognize that the bar to level up, to move to the next level, has even arrived.
So, Dr. Bell, tell me. So, I hear you saying that deciding to change requires clarity and courage.
Yes.
Okay, so help the woman who's watching this episode guide us through that process.
So clarity begins. So clarity is what opens your mind to new possibility. And it's
Okay.
the recognition and awareness of the state that you're in. It doesn't mean that you have all the answers, but it allows you to begin to ask questions. Clarity comes from asking the right questions. Oftentimes we don't ask ourselves the question because we don't want to face the answers. We don't want to face the truth. But that clarity comes from facing the truth. If you don't face it, you can't fix it. So we have to be honest with ourselves, real with ourselves, and start asking those questions. Why am I here? What am I tolerating? Why have I tolerated? What can I do? What are my options? I'm focused on what I don't have, but what do I have? So as you begin to ask those questions, you get greater clarity. That clarity begins to open up new options for you. And then it's the courage that's in you that you have to be willing to take one step. You don't have to make a grand leap. You can take one step at a time. And each time, even with your knees shaking, even with your hands shaking, sometimes you can close your eyes and say, you know what, I got to do this. And that's what happened for me, even with social media. And so you're aware that when I told my story on social media, In 72 hours, it had over 1 million views, and it's still climbing.
Amazing.
But I had to close my eyes and say, I'm going to do this. At 64, I'm going to do this. I've tried it in the past. I got scared. I got nervous. I was inconsistent. But then it dawned on me, wait a minute. This is a door and a window for opportunity. I want to serve 1 million people. I can't do that if I don't get in front of 1 million people. Well, I didn't know that on that first try it was going to reach 1 million. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you have to sometimes just do it, even when you're afraid. And as you begin to take those steps, your courage begins to grow, because courage is really about building that muscle. So get clarity. Always ask yourself those questions, and don't be afraid of the questions, and don't be afraid of the answers. Use the answers as data points so that you can then inform the next step that you take, and keep building that courage by taking that one step. When you choose you, that is your first step of unleashing the power that you know that you have, and then take one step at a time.
And what does building that courage look like for you?
Let me just walk you through an example. I think I could best explain it. First of all, recognize what you have. What's in you? What can you do? What are your success markers from the past? Your past leaves clues of success. So begin to think about that and understand who you are, not what the world has told you, but who you know you are, what you're capable of. And then think about all the steps that you've taken in the past. Look at your history and begin to understand and see them in a different perspective, and start building the courage, and recognize that if things don't turn out the way you want, it doesn't mean that it failed. It means that you now have a different data point. And so building that courage is about making decisions. It's all about decisions. It's about what you want in your life and being able to make those decisions. And like I said before, take those small steps first and build it, and keep building it and keep building it. And before you know it, that courage gets stronger. It gets stronger and stronger. But if you never take that step, if you never move forward, you'll always be stuck in fear. But fear is a natural occurrence. It's natural. If you're doing something you've never done before, fear is going to be natural. What's unnatural is when fear keeps us stuck and we refuse to move. That's when you know it's unhealthy, and that's when you need to seek help even more, right? You need to get help through that, because I want to be really transparent. When you're trying to do something new and you don't know the how and you're afraid, that's also an indication to get help. We have to be courageous enough to ask for help, to seek guidance. So whether it's therapy or whether it's coaching, but seek guidance so that you can learn from other people and they can guide you. And we've been taught in our community, and so often, particularly as ambitious, high-performing women, that we have to do it all. But doing it all is not what it's all about. That's going to lead to burnout and overwhelm. So having the courage to speak up and ask for help, seek help.
So, Dr. Bell, when you got help, your sister was instrumental to your healing process. Talk to us about that.
Oh, absolutely. As I was sitting there distraught, not knowing what I wanted to do, not realizing, because I was so deep into the emotional baggage of my relationship that wasn't working out. And I'll tell you, I was on the verge of breaking down because I didn't know what else to do. And my sister called me because she got wind of what was going on. And she called me. And in that 5-minute conversation, she unleashed something in me, because it was like she shook me over the phone. Now, I can't use the words that she used, but it was what I needed. I didn't need to be coddled. I didn't need to be, oh, sweetheart, it's going to be okay. I needed someone to remind me of who I was. So what she reminded me was, do you not know who you are? Do you not know what you're doing? Do you not know the value that you're bringing in this relationship? And you're sitting there now distraught, wondering like you don't have options. Girl, you need to wake up. Now, she said it stronger in a totally different word, but I had to listen because I needed help. I couldn't see what I couldn't see. And that's why getting help. Now, that was the first that said, wait a minute, she's right. I'm not stuck. Let me look at my hands. Let me look at my feet. Mentally, I was stuck because that's what I had told myself, and I began to believe it. And so as I went through the process, that got me unstuck to start thinking that I have options. I got to get out. I didn't know what all my options were, but this is the power that we have. And when you take that leap and the net begins to form, because me taking that leap to say, I have to get out, I'm going to choose me. Within days, I found a realtor that just happened to appear. She ended up being the sweetest and most helpful person. She then introduced, she had a client who had been trying to rent her house. She introduced me to her. Come to find out, the woman had a brand new house that had been sitting on the market because her daughter had gotten sick and passed away suddenly, and she couldn't stand the thought of moving into the house. So me and my daughter moving in gave her hope and gave her peace.
Oh,
And that's what I'm saying. I could not have predicted that. But if I had not taken the leap, made the decision, moved forward, not knowing where I was going to live, not knowing how I was going to do it, because I had to leave my own home, and things just start happening. That's the power of choosing you. That's the power of making that decision. So every decision you made. So that then, you talked about courage. That then started building the courage. But it took that community of my sister to give me that spark that I needed. And so people show up in your life. You have to be willing to listen. And sometimes it's going to sting. It may not always feel good, but you have to be willing to listen. You have to be open. And then that led me along the way to get a coach, a business coach, a life coach, all of those things for people to help guide me. So I had to invest in myself. And
investing,
yes,
absolutely, and investing in yourself. I think women don't invest enough in ourselves. And
exactly.
so, for a viewer who's stuck and needs your help, Dr. Bell, how can she contact you?
Oh, that's great. I appreciate that. You know, I offer coaching services. I have coaching programs. I have courses, all kinds of resources that I've made available for women. And one in particular is I have a freedom framework. And it's in that freedom framework that is a free gift that I offer to viewers, to people who are looking to begin that investment process. And it's through that process that they begin to take that first step of choosing themselves by making the mental shifts, but then they can get in touch with me. So I'll have the link that is available, and through that link, they'll be able to connect with me on all the social media platforms. They'll have my contact information. They can see the services that I offer. And so I make it really easy for them to learn more about me, my story, as well as to shop the program and learn more about the Boss Up Blueprint and how they can get the blueprint to actually change their lives.
Wonderful, Dr. Bell. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. This was amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so delighted to be here. And if you don't mind, I'd like to leave just a little closing statement for all
Absolutely.
the viewers that are watching. And what I want you to know is that if you're in a situation where you feel that there is no hope, know that there is more power in you than is outside of you. And when you can have the courage to look within and to begin to make decisions, to boss up your life is a decision that you make to choose you, to put yourself in the
driver's seat, and you have the power to do that. It does require you to invest because you're operating on maybe an old framework and you need a new one. But there's power within you to do that, to choose you, to make a decision, to invest in yourself, to get coaching, get therapy. Don't try to do this alone. Life can be difficult all on its own. But when you're in a community of people that support you, that can help you, it can help turn your life around. And so when you make that choice to invest in yourself, you can boss up your life. And if you need help, that's what I do, is to help you boss up your life and become the CEO of your own life and reclaim your time, your energy, and reclaim your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much for those inspiring words, Dr. Bell. It was a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening today. And a huge thank you to Dr. Bell for sharing her story and her wisdom and how to move from pain to power and from hopelessness to rebuilding a new life blueprint. I encourage you to reflect this week. Are you still trying to patch old pieces together, or are you ready to design something brand new? Take one bold step, whether that's reaching out to a therapist, connecting with a coach, or simply setting a new clear goal to start moving forward the life you truly deserve. If you'd like to connect with Dr. Bell, her information is in the show notes. And remember, if you're battling bias, broken rungs, or pay inequity, just know it's not just emotional work, it's strategy and healing. You don't have to do it alone. You can find support or book a session at fortismentouspsychiatry.com/help. This is your safe place, and you're always welcome.
This episode was brought to you by Fortis Mentis Psychiatry, where Black and Brown girls can find individual therapy, mindfulness and meditation coaching, medication management, and case management. To learn more, go to fortismentouspsychiatry.com/safe place.